couldn't have painted my pictures without Cubism very much in the background. So it arises out of a realistic impulse, but the way the pictures are constructed doesn't necessarily end up realistically, because the studies that are used during the making of it often come out of collages, which the Cubists used extensively. Some people lazily say, oh, your work is abstract. What they mean is it isn't photorealist, but to me it isn't abstract. Very often the process will begin because it's what's left over from the previous picture. So you've thought that the previous picture is addressing perhaps a doorway in the centre, or a barrier going across the centre, or a glimpse of sea in the centre. And you think this picture you've just worked on is going to capture it, and it never does. There's always something that escapes you. So very often it will begin as a variation on the previous one. I'm going from a pastel study to a collage, to a small oil, to a larger oil. But if you saw them side by side, you would see that the development is clearer. Very often, if I'm doing an oil that is fairly similar to its collage study, it might look as if I'm simply copying it. And that's just a mechanical process of measuring it up and making it 4 times bigger. The process of making it is to discover something you didn't know before you began. If you're just saying what you already know, it will be tired. I find that I want to deal with matters of life and death, which is why there are cemeteries in my work, as well as the passage from the world to the world beyond in a more subtle way. My work has a dense intendedness. That could look constricting, that I'm too analytical and putting too much thought and not leaving enough room for spontaneous gestures. But I'm a great believer that I pack the work very, very densely and tightly, so you can, as an observer, can unravel it over a long period of time. I don't think my works give up their meaning quickly. I think one day the work will have its audience. And I obviously wish I had more people seeing it, principally because I want the work to be looked after. If I had more recognition and more fame, the work would be more valuable. People bought it, even if they moved house or sold it, they would make sure they got something for it and they would look after it. The danger of being not so well known is they might throw it into a skip because there's no value in it. That's a terrifying thought. I want my work to endure technically. I put an awful lot of technical effort into the way it's painted, the way the supports are made, the way it's framed, so it will last. But I do that in the way that I think Shakespeare wrote his sonnets, because we're trying to make something that outlasts our being here. And the Elizabethans, because life was cheap and life was short, are absolutely obsessed with their legacy and what they're going to leave behind, and so am I.